Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Creative Contact. If you're wondering why I've only got one hand up and I'm holding my phone as a microphone, it's because my other one was stolen. So yes, that is a story. Just stick around to the end. Just kidding. This is a YouTube channel. But that is a story that I'll be telling you soon. So this episode is going to be quick and dirty. The lighting, it took me forever to try to get this lighting right, but there's some crazy reflection. So I look like I'm telling ghost stories, but it's totally fine. 6 lessons from 6 months, 3 countries. So a little bit of backstory on this is because the reason why you hadn't heard from me much is because it was my first time that I was really living with my girlfriend full time. So I was in Medellin. That's kind of been home away from home, and my visa ran out. And so I was like, okay, I didn't have enough time to get a nomad visa or extend it. And I was like, we were talking about maybe doing like a civil union. We were like, let's take that time. Let's go travel for 6 months. I said, baby, you can go travel with me or you can stay here and we can do a long distance thing. And she was like, nah, I'm not doing long distance. If you're having fun traveling, take me with you. I was like, cool. So that's how we ended up on this 6-month adventure. The plan was going to be 4 months in Brazil and then 2 months in Mexico. But we ended up calling it audible after about 3 months in Brazil. After about 2 months actually in Brazil, my girlfriend realized that speaking Portuguese is very different than Spanish, even though they look somewhat similar. And the cultures are also really different too. And she missed speaking Spanish. She was kind of struggling a little bit with the Portuguese and wanted to get back to a culture that spoke her language. So we called audible. And this kind of comes into, part of the lessons as well. Is kind of learn how to be flexible. And we went to Buenos Aires. So we spent 3 months in Brazil in Rio. And then we went to Buenos Aires for a month. And then we've been in Mexico City for the last 2 months. And that is what I want to talk about today, are 6 lessons from the last 6 months. Some of these are like relationship based. Some of these are travel based. Some of these are just like Kia musings on life, finding my way based. So with that out of the way, let's jump into it. So number 1 is get dirty. I think this is super important. I believe in this for a long time, but I think this really came to light from traveling, and I know my girlfriend would say the same. We actually talked about this already. Lino really wanted to, before we left Medellin, when we were talking about it, she's traveled a ton within Colombia, but she hasn't done a lot of international travel. She used to live in London, and she's been in Spain a bit, but she hasn't traveled in a long time. And I remember being on the bus, and we were having this conversation when we were coming back from like a little adventure to this little like Colombian pueblito, and she was like, I think I'd want to be a travel YouTuber. And I was like, I really don't think, and we got into like this little tale. I was like, I really don't think you do. Like, I was like, I think if you really knew what it meant to be a travel YouTuber, you wouldn't want to do it. She's like, I do. I was like, okay. I was like, well, let's go travel. And then after we can talk about it. My point being, traveling is hard. Her point being, it is amazing and you're super full of experiences, and both of those things I think are true. But I think having done the nomad thing for the last 7, almost 8 years now, you realize that it's tough. And especially if you're constantly traveling, like a travel YouTuber, it's really hard. And so after this trip, a big takeaway from Lena, or for her, was how nice it is to travel for a limited time and then to have a home that you can come back to, where you have your own supplies, you have your kitchen knife that you like, you have your cutting board and your blender, and like the dish soap that you like to eat. Like, there's something about having your stuff, I think, for her that's been really, really important. And for me, I've been on the road for 8 years, so I'm used to really not having my stuff like that. But even for me, it's not necessarily about coming back to like having my things as much as it is coming back to a culture or a place where I know people, I know how to move, I know where I need to go to get to certain things or to get shit done that I need to get done. And that is what Medellin is for me. So we're going to go back in January, and it's going to be my first time we're going to get an apartment, and it's going to be our first time having things more than I can just travel in 2 bags, carry on only, in almost a decade. And I'm a little bit nervous, I'm not going to lie, but I'm also excited. I think it's the opportunity for me to grow. As soon as we were talking about it, like, I felt myself like clenching. Like, I was like, oh no, I think it's that attachment, because I've been so used to living without that attachment. And you kind of under my Buddhist shit, living lightly, being able to kind of let go. Listen, I have stuff that I like, don't get it twisted, but also I think there's something about not accumulating a bunch of stuff at the same time, I'm excited to have like a nice pillow and a blanket, these things that a nice, chef's knife, these things that seem small, but, depending on what you like can, mean a lot. And so that was a big one, was really get your hands dirty, try stuff. And I think for me, it was cool to see that kind of transformation happen for her. And I'm going to see if I wrote anything else in here. Yeah, you don't know what you don't know. I've belabored the point, but get dirty. Anytime I talk to college kids, sometimes like for my university, like they'll have college kids, I'll be like, you have any advice for like college? I'm like, whatever you want to do, whatever the things you think you want to do, go do it first. Shadow somebody who does it. Like, you think you want to be a lawyer before you go to law school? Go shadow lawyers for a bit. Doctor, same thing. Like, go get your hands dirty, because a lot that glimmers is not gold. 2, follow your joy. This one is a bit of a stolen one that I got from a podcast I heard the other day. But I pilfered it and I'm using it here. And that is, I think it sounds kind of like woo-woo, but the real thing is like, if it feels like it's filling your cup, it probably is. And like, follow that. Lena and I had some friction at first when we first started this trip. We'd have not a big fight, but we have a little bit of a fight, maybe a medium-sized fight once a month. And some of those turned into bigger fights. And I think this was twofold. I think it was, one, it's kind of like learning your partner. And I think that takes time. I think that's actually really important. And I think another one was, neither one of us was doing stuff that we absolutely loved. I was dabbling a lot in AI video, which was really cool. And I was feeling like really called to it at the time, really excited. I was learning all about these AI tools, making AI videos, but, I didn't feel like I was like living my purpose, as I might say. Like, I'd create these projects which were cool, but I didn't feel like I was building towards sort of like any end state, which I know sounds really silly, but to me, I like kind of having a big thing that I'm kind of working towards. I like this idea of like kind of chomping off a big bite of something that I like the rock star dream. The one I had before, I was like, this is going to take a decade, but I like building towards like things that happen in decades, 5 to 10 year kind of time spans, because I like that idea of kind of like chopping wood, carry water. And once you get into that rhythm, then it becomes this beautiful kind of accumulation over time of skills and abilities and a catalog, etc. Even though rock star shit never happened or never like panned out, it was a rad adventure, and I learned a lot and I had a lot of fun. And that's how I feel right now in this author journey. And so it's been interesting. I have this line a day journal where I kind of take some photos and I'll write a couple lines about, whatever I was doing that day. And then you can see what happened 1, 2, 3, 4 years ago. And 3 years ago, I was like trying to like, I just like go with the rapper shit, and I was like dabbling in video, and, but also really learning that I loved writing the scripts of the videos. And I was like, I think there might be something here with the writing. And then 2 years ago, like, cause every day you see what you're doing, those years pass, I was like just about to release my first book. And it's cool to see how much I've been able to do over the last 2 years. It hasn't been that much in terms of like actual book releases, but I feel like I've learned a lot, and I really am going to kick it into gear this next year. But I think I'd kind of had that. It's been like percolating for 3 years and kind of like really solidifying. And every time I've kind of started to stray from that, I end up in kind of this no man's land where I don't feel super fulfilled. And with Lena, I wanted to support her. So I was like, hey, I will financially support you on this trip so you don't have to work your day job anymore, which was great. But every solution creates new problems. And I think she had a bit of a vacuum at first in terms of like this purpose vacuum, where she had projects that she was working on. She's super creative and artsy. She didn't have like this like big thing that she was working towards. And I think that kind of carried over then to me spending a lot of time like in my room working on stuff that I was really passionate about. And she would sometimes feel like not left out, but like it felt like since she didn't have her thing, that caused friction. And I think that later, about 2.5 months in, when she found her thing, we were like off to the races. I could do my work all day. She could do her work all day. But, like following that joy, I think we both kind of stumbled along throughout the first part of this journey, last 6 months. And I came back to the writing as I always do, and like have been over the moon for the last, I'd say 2 months. The first 4 were good. I was a lot of experimenting, learning about AI tools and stuff, which kind of comes, I have a lot of shiny object syndrome, and I think that can be a beautiful thing, but also a problem sometimes. And so I have a little, I think I have something more on that in here. We'll see. Yeah. I have some shit that I might get into, I might not. But follow your joy. If it feels like you're feeling your gut, probably is. And last thing on that too about that is like, I was really struggling with my day job for a little while. Like I don't want to say depressed, but like depressed for Kia. And as soon as I kind of came back to the writing, when we switched apartments, we moved to Mexico City, we got a nice place, and I started writing again every day. And it was like, I could stomach my day job again. And I think it was just because like, I feel like if I can write every day, I'm happy. Like if I get a 2-3 hour writing block in the morning and a little workout in, it's like, I'm good. Like the rest of the day can like be whatever it is. I'm like, I feel like I'm like building towards that dream. You know what I'm saying? Like I was talking about. And so that, and like, especially if I get a little evening walk with my beloved after dinner, then, I mean, I'm a simple guy. You know, that's not a new lesson, but that's something I learned too. Okay. Number 3, nowhere is perfect. This one, you've heard me rant on this for the last 7 years. Everywhere has its bright spots. Everywhere has its warts. Brazil. Beaches were incredible as always. I love Rio. Rio's a special spot. You feel like it's a city built into the mountains. You feel like you're in Jurassic Park. It's just amazing. I don't have enough good things to say about Rio. And by that, I mean, like, I could rave about it all day. The 1 or 2 things that I will have a little, the parts about Rio that we didn't love were, 1, Lena didn't feel super safe, and I don't blame her. That is the place that I probably feel the most, like, insecure, not in terms of like internally insecure, like that I'm, a short balding man, but, that I'm like, my like alertness is on, like that I don't feel like in Mexico City, I feel like I'm maybe listening to a podcast, or like the way that I feel in, Buenos Aires, I don't feel that at all. Whereas like in Rio, I was like, I feel like I'm always kind of on a little bit. And Lena really felt that, especially as a woman when she's out and about. I know that, she felt that more heavily than I did. And then I hate to say it, Brazil, I love y'all. Brazilians, y'all know I love you guys so much. I don't love the food. Maybe it was just me, but like a lot of Brazilian food, it has like kind of these like parts to it. Like the way that you have like rice and beans in Colombia, they'd have like, it's like farofo or whatever that thing is called. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, it's not for me. I don't love it. It like, we'll leave it at that, but lots of amazing international cuisine. Some really good, like their steakhouses are popping. But I find myself like, when it comes to just like the food of the people, like in Buenos Aires or Mexico, like I'm much more likely to eat street tacos, or like just like popping Italian food from like just a little, typical Italian spot in Buenos Aires, because their regular normal cuisine I find I enjoy more. Buenos Aires, beautiful city, probably the most beautiful city that we went to, depending on how you define beauty, because Brazil is also, Rio, it's beautiful in itself. It's a different beauty than Buenos Aires. Buenos Aires has like the architecture and you feel like you're in Europe, and it's like these little cafes, and you just, these cobblestone streets. It's in the park. There's so many parks. It's like a very green city. It's just gorgeous. Honestly, gorgeous city. Lena and I like said that every day when we'd be taking an Uber, we'd be like, oh my God, this place is gorgeous. Porteños, people from Buenos Aires, super rad, but they aren't maybe as warm as Colombians or Mexicans, in my experience. I know it's generalizing a lot, but like, I think they have more of that Italian influence, of course. I think a lot of the people actually have like Italian passports, like, because the heritage is European, and it has that vibe. You know what I mean? Like the people it's like very white. It's like very alternative, kind of cool and hipster. And with that comes, like a slight coldness. I think like a little bit of a distance between you and the people. Like they're like, okay, you're over here, we're over here. Cool. We can be friendly, but they aren't like, oh, like, let me, it was interesting. The first day we arrived in Mexico, we went to get lunch, and the waiter was just like there. He was like, hey, anything more I can do for you? He was just super stoked. He's just like a short little pudgy dude, and you just show up and serve us guacamole and come over and be like, hey, like, how's it going? It's just, there's a vibe. Like the people in Mexico, for Lena, she felt this too. And Lena, this is no knock on on Buenos Aires or town people. Like Lena is also Italian. Like she has Italian citizenship. She has a passport. Well, I'm marrying her. Don't tell her that, baby. You know I love you. And she's like, I miss Colombia. You know what I mean? Like, or even Brazil. The people are super sweet. But as soon as we touched down in Mexico, we felt it again. Cab drivers want to talk to you. The people, like your waiter is going to be, trying to like serve you more food. Like they're just sweet people. They have a warmth that Colombians, I think, also have. And then I feel other places in Latin America. It just is what it is. I think a lot of like, as you go more south, either in Brazil, in Buenos Aires, in like Uruguay, like it gets whiter. And as it gets whiter, the people, I think, lose a little bit of that kind of like that, like, I don't want to say magic, but like maybe it's a little bit of that like Latino warmth that you're kind of used to. I'm sure there are amazing porteños, people from Buenos Aires out there. Don't come for me. Mexico City, people amazing. Like I said, food amazing. Like I said, Mexican food is one of those foods I could eat like probably it forever. I love me some Mexican food. Walkable, safe. People are sweet. Traffic, looking for my chapstick. It's just, it got a little bit loony. Like to try to go 10 minutes, it would take like an hour sometimes, especially if you live like, there's a place where like a lot of the poppin' food is, and to try to get into that area at like after work around rush hour is going to be nuts. Like, and between like 4 p.m., probably like 3:30 p.m. and like 8 p.m., it takes like an hour to get like anywhere, or like if you're trying to go through that or around that, and that got old for me really quick. So, like I said, every place is great. Every place, has things that you don't love to. No place is perfect. This is what it is. Also, the air quality. I'm not normally too sensitive to that stuff, but this time I definitely felt it, and I know Lena did too. She kind of had like this perpetual sore throat when we were in Mexico City. And every time we went to like a little pueblito, we went to Guanajuato. Querétaro is more like a little city. She didn't have it anymore, and it's just because the air quality out here is terrible, the air pollution. But it is what it is. I touched on this already, but this is a really big one in terms of relationship stuff for me. Is that learning to fight is a process. Like I said, we had bigger blowouts a lot more often, the more earlier in this trip, and we didn't have any for the last maybe 2 months, maybe 3 months. Probably 2 months. I think when we first got to Mexico, we were both really tired, and that I think caused a little bit of a riff at first. But you learn what your partner needs. You learn how they fight, how they handle conflict, and I think this is something that like only comes out in the wash. Like you really don't know until you're up against the wall with that. And I think we've gotten a lot better. And I think I hope that we continue to do that too. She started also doing her therapy. She started her therapy again and like had some amazing tools that she got from that. It was crazy like how much of a game changer having tools can be. I've been super into this. I've been like trying to read some books on it. Her therapist gave her some awesome like homework, and so we had this time to like actually like talk stuff out and like actually have some like structured tools that I still feel like right now I feel like I'm severely under-equipped. I think there's a lot that I can learn in that regard. And so if you have any resources in terms of like Fight Right, like that's something from the I forget their name, but they're like the Gottmans, like I almost want to take one of their courses because man, learning how to navigate that conflict is so real. And so much of that for me, I find with Lena is like biological. It's like, are we tired? Are we hungry? Is it that time of month? Like, is it hormonal? Like so much of it is like comes to biology that actually, like having that extra sense of awareness, you can kind of click on it like, oh, I'm actually just pissy because I'm tired. Goes a really long way. So yeah, learning how to fight. But again, I don't think that's something that you can necessarily just like not ever fight. I think it's something that's like, two people inhabiting to, the same space. And that takes time to learn, but I think we're getting there. I think we're doing a lot better. Lena, you leave it. Mention it in the comments. How am I doing? Are we doing better or not? 5, don't hold anything too tightly. I didn't say anyone. I said anything. We were in Buenos Aires. It was our last day in Buenos Aires. I was packed. I had all of my shit. We were headed to the airport. So I had all my stuff. I normally don't have all my stuff on me. I feel like, is this too dark now? I wonder if this is too dark. Anyways, I I don't have all my stuff on me, but I did because we were headed out. And that morning I had my passport, and I normally have like this little very sexy fanny pack that I put, like, it's almost like a travel wallet, and I have everything in there, but my passport doesn't fit in there, so I don't have it in my pocket. But I was wearing pants, the rare sighting of Kia in pants. And the pockets are shallow in these like cheap decathlon pants I had. So I don't like to put the passport in because I was afraid it was going to fall out. So I normally wear shorts, I have much deeper pockets, so I'm good to go. I have my little system. Don't judge me, okay? I got it down. But this time, these pants, the pockets are shallow. I'm like, fuck it. It's bulgy. It's awkward. I'm putting my passport in my little fanny pack thing, and I'm so glad that I did. We go to a Starbucks in the bougiest neighborhood in Buenos Aires. We find like the little like tabletop. It's like a little bar area. They have like over now the windows like they have in the corner. Then like against the main windows. They don't have like a bar. And we like stash our shit over in the corner. We're sitting next to it. I'm standing at the little countertop thing. She's working. I have a couple video calls for my work. And then we're like, our flight's at like 8 p.m. And so I was going to wrap up work around 4:35, something like that. Boom, boom, boom. I have my meetings. We're cool. We're chilling. And then I'm like, oh, I want to put something on my Kindle. And so I don't close my laptop. I'm about to. I'm like, oh, I need to put something on my Kindle for the flight. And I look over and my backpack's gone. And as someone who travels only out of 2 bags, that's a lot. That's half a Kia shit. So I look down, I'm like, oh wow, Lena, because she's a lady and she's a fashion icon, self-proclaimed fashion icon. Not my words, that's hers. She has a little bit more clothes than I do. She likes clothes a little more than I do. She has more than just 2 black t-shirts. What a concept. So she has big ass bags, is what I'm saying. And so the thief, I think, came and found the path of least resistance, which was Kia's. Not the humble brag, weird flex, but okay. Very well packed, very streamlined, very, very. It was inconspicuous. It's a black bag that doesn't have any bells, like bells or whistles. It's a simple black bag, and easy to steal. And they took that shit. So fortunately, I had my laptop, and as soon as it happened, I was like, "Damn!" And then I was like, "I'm good. I have my passport." And it's one thing you learn when you're traveling. You don't really, the 2 things you need, your passport, credit card. Maybe not even a credit card depending on where you're going, because you might have that on your Apple Wallet and you just use your phone. But okay, maybe I take it back. Passport and phone. Phone's a lot more important than, and you can do a lot more with that than a credit card. But, yeah, someone jacked all my shit. And so I've been kind of like slowly replacing it over the last few months. Hence why I'm recording this with the phone, because my, like a lot of my electronics were in that bag, and the speaker, like not my speaker, my microphone for this camera was also in that bag with the electronics. It was a good get. They got my retainer, so that was hopefully really useful. They got like this really, long reach flosser that's really hard to get. So, that was also a nice score. What else did they get? Yeah, all my toiletries, my deodorant, a nice, thing of toothpaste. They got, I think they also got some like really, they got all my money from other countries. So I hope that those those Indian rupees serve them well. They got my New Zealand passport, which was a bummer. But more than anything, more than the retainer, as much of that was a bummer, there's also like a new retainer. I just had it done in Medellin. It fit my teeth perfectly, whatever. I missed that. RIP that retainer. They got my uncle's golden necklace that he gave me. My uncle committed suicide this last year. And one thing that my mom gave me of his was this golden necklace that was super long, and I had to turn into a bracelet at the jeweler, and is the first like piece of like gold I've ever had. And it was also in my bag. So that was a bummer. Also got my eye mask and earplugs. So hopefully they're sleeping well. Hopefully their teeth are straight and clean. And they are swagged out a little bit with my uncle's chain. So that was a bummer. But I think I handled it well. I think, I talk a big talk about Buddhism, letting go, blah, blah, blah. That was a good test to be like, hey, how are you going to handle this? It's gone. Nothing to do. How are you going to handle it? Didn't have anything in there to like use Find My or anything like that. So I invested in a couple air tags. So steal my shit again, motherfuckers. Let's see if I can find you next time. Okay. That's that. This is running long. Sun is setting. Let's jump into it. I'm going to give you a twofer. I'm going to reveal it. You stayed around. You stuck into the end. I'm going to reveal a 2-for-1. One, ask for what you want. This comes to your partner. This comes to life. We got upgraded to like new tables. We got like cool upgrades on flights. More than that though, like there's something really powerful about just asking. And I think when I switch into this mode, it makes Lena uncomfortable. I sometimes change my voice a little bit. But it's like really the continuous lesson is that like rules are only as strong as the people that enforce them. We use SmartFit. It's a gym chain in Latin America. And you could go one day and the people would be like, not like have very strict rules of like, you had to have your passport signed up. You go the next day, people are like, what are they talking about? Like nobody really knows the rules. They're only as strong as people enforce them. And there's something really powerful about asking. There's also something I think really powerful about, I don't want to say not asking, but like asking for something that you want, but also like sometimes like asking for forgiveness, not permission at the same time. I know that drives Lena a little bit crazy about me, but I do like to build that muscle of like, not hustling, but like asking when you need to, and just asking sometimes for a discount, asking if you can get something for free. Like I think that's you're not trying to like scam the system with it, but there's a lot that you can get in life if you ask. And I think that we sometimes don't ask enough, myself included. So that's a really powerful one. And the next one is around patience. Like I said before, this comes to the fighting. This comes like everything comes out in the wash. I'm on this dream right now to work on building my little fiction empire, realizing that takes time. And I think as someone who like really wants to like excel and has a lot of ambition and wants to like force through life, same happens with a relationship with Lena. I'm so sorry. Is like, I want it to be good now, and realizing that like after a fight, like you can't just like repair it right away. Sometimes like you can apologize, you can do the repair you need or you want, but sometimes it needs to just like breathe. And sometimes you need a week. Sometimes you need an awkward week of just like being there, showing up. Like emotions don't process like computer programs. And, these things, I think big dreams and things worth doing sometimes can take time. And so like, just think about like playing life in decades. For me has been a recent, especially looking back on this journal, being like, time goes so fast. I love the phrase, I think we overestimate what we can do in a year, underestimate what we can do in 10. And I think with the AI, everything's popping right now. It's like, it feels like it's this gold rush. You feel like you're missing out. I definitely feel like I'm missing out, which is why I spent 4 months like trying to learn tools and think about a new business. And I'm like, Kia, come back to the writing. This is what makes you happy. It's the fucking Vietnamese fisherman parable, like to the T. Or like, I was the fisherman. I was like, I'm really enjoying fishing. And then I'm like, well, what if I AI the fish and the fishing rod, and I get in the boat that's made out of a AI voice control, you know what I mean? And I can get caught up in that too. I'm not saying like ignore it. I use AI all the time too, like even for the writing. They're great skills. Like don't get it twisted. I'm not trying to be replaced either. But like keeping the main thing, I think for me has been a really big lesson. And that like in order to do big things, sometimes it takes time. And sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. But if the journey, so cliche, but like if you enjoy the journey of it, then I think even if it does, I'm not saying like don't quit. I probably should quit the rap shit earlier when I realized I don't like going to live shows, and like loud music hurts my ears, and I'm kind of antisocial and introverted. But I think it is important to like stick with, like, especially when it's art shit, like stick with it long enough to give it a real shot, and don't be too precious about it. And like, just you zoom out a little bit more and it like makes just about everything okay. So I'll end with that. If you are one of the homies that I've linked up with over the last 6 months, thank you so much for making the time for me. And it was really great to see all of you guys. Medellin for the win, 2026, locking and getting my own spot with my baby. Might get a little dog. That's crazy. I've got if I can pull some shit off that I want to pull off, I got a crazy update coming for you soon. How's that for a cliffhanger? It'll probably be a couple months, but if I can pull it off. 2, big announcements coming over this next 6 months if I can't pull it off. And I think I can. So hold that thought. Till we meet again. Thanks for tuning in. As always, peace.